Okay, so moving on to recruiting psychology. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about because it's usually one of the most eye-opening for people if they haven't heard about this before. But recruiting, the skills that you use in recruiting are literally the polar opposite of the skills that you use in sales. This is the most common mistake people make because when you're in sales and you've sold hundreds of accounts or thousands of accounts and you've trained thousands of people or hundreds of people, you get so used to getting that dopamine rush from completing a sale, and it trains you that to think that you use these skills to get what you want. And sometimes you use your sales skills when you're on dates. You know, you're out with a girl or a guy or whatever. Or sometimes you use these skills when you're managing your team. But in recruiting, it is actually the opposite skill set from sales, and it's important that people know how to take off their sales hat and put their recruiting hat on. Think about all the different hats that we wear as leaders. You know, some of you guys are not only the manager, but you guys are the DJ, you guys are the relationship therapists, you guys are the psychologists, you guys are the janitor, you guys are HR. And HR is usually the department that does the interviewing for most companies. And when you think about it, people in HR, they're trained differently, they think differently. It is a very different kind of approach to pretty much everything than sales. If I were to take a group of 100 HR employees and 100 sales reps, they're going to look different. If I walked up to the group of 100 HR representatives and I asked if I could get a job at their company, what are they going to do? They might smile and say, "I don't know who you are. If you want to submit a resume, we can interview you. But I can't tell you whether or not I can give you a job. That's going to be up to the management team that interviews you." However, if I went and talked to the group of 100 sales reps and I said, "Hey, can I get a job at your company?" Think about how different they're going to respond to that question. Probably going to say, "Absolutely, you can make this much money, and if you just knock on this many doors, you can make this, and you're exactly what we look for. There's a meeting on Tuesday, you should totally come give it a shot and see if you're interested in working with us." Polar opposite approach, right? And when people are not experienced and they don't know what to expect, a lot of times they are wanting to get into a situation that feels traditional when it comes to the interview process. You know, think about how any big company would interview somebody at Google, Intel, Microsoft, the CIA, McDonald's. They're going to make you fight for the job, right? Because that's what you do in an interview. People show up to interviews expecting to try to prove themselves and earn a position someplace. But if they show up to an interview and someone's trying to talk them into the job, it feels weird and it's going to throw things off because, you know, most good jobs are going to be hard to get. And a lot of you guys have been pitched on an MLM before, or, you know, someone's trying to sell you a bill of goods. And when someone's trying to push something onto you, it doesn't feel good, right? And usually it might seem like that thing doesn't have a lot of value because things that usually have high value are going to be hard to get. Good jobs are going to be hard to get. If you think about, you know, something that a lot of people want, but few people can have, that's going to illustrate some sort of quantifiable amount of value. But if there's something that everybody can have that few people want, like somebody's mixtape, then people aren't going to want that thing, right? Because it's too easy to come by. You know, an example would be is, you know, if I were to approach you in a shopping mall and you were walking by me and I came up to you and I said, "Hey, what's up, bro? Nice shoes. How would you like to have $10 million today?" I'm sure we all like $10 million. I love suitcases full of money. But what's that person going to say walking by me? Very likely they're going to break eye contact with me and continue walking and just tell me to go F myself because it sounds like it's too good to be true, right? And think about how many thousands of people are going to walk by me in that mall and turn down $10 million because it didn't come to them the right way. So I want to talk about the differences between how you approach this. Now, in sales, let's list off some of the skill sets that we use in sales. We try to build rapport with people, right? The opposite of building rapport with somebody is indifference, right? In sales, you want to build rapport with the customer. When you're interviewing somebody, you're not trying to build rapport with them. They should be trying to build rapport with you and kiss your butt, but you should be the one that's sitting back and they should be trying to earn your approval. Right? That's how a normal interview would go. In sales, you want to prove to the customer, you want to prove to the customer that you're credible and that your company's legit. But in an interview setting, you're not trying to prove the interviewee that you are credible. You are skeptical of them. If someone comes in and they've got 10 different jobs in the last 6 months, you got to stop and ask them, is everything okay? What happened? Why did you work at 10 different places? Did it not work? Why didn't it work out at the last ones? And when you ask questions like that, their natural response is going to try to convince you or tell you that everything's fine and you have nothing to worry about, and these are the reasons why you should be confident in their ability to do the job. And when you are posturing like that in an interview, it gets them in the habit of coming to you and trying to prove to you that they are legit and earn your approval. And that's the side of the stage that you want to be. In sales, you're urgent, right? You want to strike while the iron's hot. You don't want people to think about it. You want to sign the contract right then and there. But in interviewing, you want to be patient. One of the worst things you could ever do in an interview is offer them the job at the end of it. I know that sounds kind of funny to you guys because a lot of you guys probably do that. But if you're going to talk about how picky you are about who you hire and how selective you are and how protective of your culture you are, and at the end of a fast interview, you offer them the job, it doesn't validate anything that you said about how difficult of a decision it is for you guys to make when you're adding somebody to the team, to the roster. So you always want to call somebody back. Even if it's a couple hours later, you want to say, you can even tell them that you thought the interview went well. You can be nice to them and give them the impression that they got the job. You might say something like, hey, I think this went really well. You seem like the kind of person I'd like to work with. But just so you know, what I'm going to do next is talk with the managers and let them know how this interview went. I'm not the only person that does interviews, so I have to check with them and see how things went with their interviews. But I'm going to have good things to say about you. And hopefully, if my conversation goes well with them, we might be able to have some good news for you here in the next little bit. But I have to go consult the Oracle first. If you call them back a couple hours later and say you talk to the managers quickly, you can move quickly through this. But you always want to be patient with it because that shows that you're in control. In sales, you want to win people's approval. You want to win the customer's approval. In an interview setting, you want to award your approval. They should be trying to win your approval, and you're the one that's awarding it or not awarding it in some cases. In sales, you are pursuing the customers, and in recruiting, you want to be attracting people. You want people to want to come to your company and work for you because you are the kind of person that they would want to work with. If you find yourself pushing your agenda on somebody and trying to convince them that everything's going to be fine and don't worry, you're going to be successful and you're going to make this much money, and you're pursuing them, then it switches the dynamic of the conversation and it actually puts them in charge, and they will have the psychological positioning of power in that situation, because when they can tell it's up to them whether or not they get the job, then the positioning of authority becomes reversed and they feel like they're interviewing you. And that's when they start asking stupid questions like, do a lot of people quit? What's the turnover rate? What happens if I'm the worst person in the whole company and I don't sell anything? Do I still make money if I don't sell a single thing? And if you think about how psychotic that is, that if anyone said anything like that in any normal interview setting, in any company, Google, Intel, Microsoft, the CIA, Burger King, if somebody showed a lack of confidence in their ability to do the job, that would instantly disqualify them. Because confidence is the first prerequisite to every job. Think if I were to try to become a surgeon and I was in an interview and I said, what happens if I'm the worst surgeon in the whole hospital and everyone I do surgery on dies? Do I still make money if everyone dies that I do surgery on? Or what happens if I'm the worst astronaut and I don't get on the spaceship? Do I still make money if I don't get on the spaceship? Think about how crazy it would be if you responded and you were like, oh no, that's okay, there's a second spaceship. You can just get on that one, no big deal. We'll teach you how to get on the spaceship, no problem. That's the same thing as you saying, no, that's okay if you haven't done this before. There's a guy that started doing this last month and he was just waiting tables before he started doing this, and he made $15,000 his first month. So this is just a good opportunity for anyone that wants to make a lot of money. You don't know why it's weird, they don't know why it's weird, but it just got weird because the positioning of authority became reversed. Because they expressed a concern about their ability to do the job, and you try to instill them with confidence, and tried to sell them and tell them how well they would do at the job. And that's going to get you in this like weird downward spiral where you find yourself chasing applicants all of a sudden. Now, how many times have you guys been in a recruiting situation and you're like, why do I have to talk this person into the job? You feel like you're chasing them and it's not comfortable, and you feel like you're violating the integrity you have with yourself. And you're like, why do I have to talk this person into the job? They don't even deserve this. Like, don't they see the value in what I have to offer? But again, it's because you're approaching it like sales, and that's what happens. You should always be on the opposite side of that and have people coming to you the entire time through an interview. And we're going to talk about how to do some of that next.